All right, what's up, weirdos? Happy Tuesday. I feel like I'm kind of dark right now, but we're just gonna do our best with this. If it's too dark, let me know and I'll try to make some adjustments. But what's up? I'm back in my apartment, as you probably saw in my video from yesterday, but I'm back in New York and I'm excited to, oh, maybe this helps. That's better. I don't know. And I'm so excited to talk about Willard today. Oh my god, this is our last When Animals Attack horror film. And definitely the wildest one, for sure. So freaking crazy. Cannot wait to talk about it. Before we get into it, as always, want to know from you guys. That's so much better. I literally just turned the brightness up on my computer and it made me brighter. And I was like, magic. So what was I going to say? Oh, before we get started, go ahead in the chat. What have you been watching this week? What have you been into? TV shows, movies, books, whatever. Personally, I am reading the new Twilight book, Midnight Sun, which I know might lose me some fans, but it's worth it because I think I was in middle school when the Twilight books came out, and I loved them. Just loved them. Had a great time reading them. And so when I saw Midnight Sun was happening, which is the first book from Edward's perspective, I was like, I'm gonna have to order that immediately and read it. So I'm working on it now. In terms of what I'm watching, so this week is Fantasia Film Fest. And I am starting to check out, I'm doing some press for them. I'm going to do some videos for them. And I have started on my screeners, checking out some of the movies. And those reviews, I think, are going to start tomorrow, hopefully, if I get my life together. So that's kind of what I've been watching. And let's see. Is there anything else I've been watching? Probably, but I don't know right now. But let me go ahead and see who's in the chat. Let's see. We have Mark. We have Martin. We have Sarah. Pat. Let's see. Batman. What's going on, guys? I did not have pet rats as a child, but I would love to know. So did you, Batman? Did you have pet rats? I know they're really smart. They're just like tiny dogs, I hear, but as someone that's had mice in my apartment, which is, terrifying, and you start to develop what I call mouse anxiety, where you just always think there's a mouse near you, even if there's not. I definitely do not have a lot of experience raising mice. That's cool that other people do. I'm glad you guys are all here. Let's see. I'm just going to scroll a little bit here. We also have Stacy in here. Hello. We have Mimi. Hi. And let's see. Okay, so what have you been watching? Death Note. Never seen it, but heard very good things. Night of the Creeps. Very cool. Very cool. Let's see. I agree, Martin. I was reading today about the fact that Willard was initially intended to be an R-rated film, but then of course we're looking at the early 2000s where there was a huge surge of PG-13 horror, and everyone thought that was the way to make all the money. So this one ended up being PG-13. I would love a R-rated cut. I think that would be so sick. I also, as per usual, forgot to tell Twitter that I was live, so live now for Horror Movie Club. Come hang out. All right. Just make sure that people know what's going on. All right, I do have a couple of announcements, and I'm trying to think if I should wait a couple more minutes to start those, because one of them is kind of a big one. I'll wait a minute or two. Hello, Devin. Let's see. We have Ollie. Hello. But yeah, I've really had fun with this When Animals Attack month, but the thing about it for me is that all these movies, okay, that's not true, not all of them, but some of them have definitely been a little bit more emotional because, and it's this feeling I always have with horror movies. It's like if there's a dog on screen or an animal is like somehow in danger, I'm automatically more freaked out. Like I'm stressed. I'm immediately stressed. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit and see what happens. Yeah, that's better. I am so stressed and I care so much for the animal. And I think a lot of people have that because animals they're like innocent. They haven't made any of the horrible choices that the people in the movies we're watching have made. And so we automatically are just like, no, not the dog. And of course, when a filmmaker wants to emotionally affect their audience, a lot of times they will do something like kill off the dog, which always just bums me out. And so the thing about these movies for me is that I've just felt so horrible for the animals in these movies. And I don't mean the animal actors, because from everything I've seen, even the spider ones have been treated very well and all that, and have all these trainers, and, you know, they're very safe. But in the story, I just feel so sad for the animals. Let's see. We also have, Trash Stash. Hello. Happy you're here. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Horror Movie Club. Okay, so my 2 announcements. We have, it's almost 8:10. I'm gonna go ahead and start, and then I'll just try to remember to repeat these at the end. So I think it's basically 3 things. Number 1, yesterday I released my Femme Film Fest video with the trailer in it. That is a film festival that I'm organizing with my friend Francesca. I hope you guys will check it out. Tickets for that are $8, and it's basically a streaming link that you can watch the festival, watch the Q&A I host afterwards, and I think if I was smart this morning, which I think I was, I put the ticket link in the description of this live stream. And it's on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And but if you can't make it at that time, the link is up for 48 hours, so you can watch it anytime in the 48 hours. So that is Femme Film Fest, all female writers, directors, and actors. A lot of sci-fi, horror, surrealism, a lot of crazy stuff in there. Okay, so with that one, that's one announcement. The second announcement is that next month's Horror Movie Club, after much thought and consideration, it's going to be animated spooky movies. And I'm saying spooky because I don't have a list yet of what these movies are going to be. And I have a strong feeling that some of them are going to be not necessarily horror, but definitely spooky vibes. And I think that's going to be so nice for us because September is starting us into fall, starting us into Halloween season, aka spooky peeps like us, a favorite time of the year. But also, it's just been a really rough 2020, and I'm like, I feel like we need some like lightness, some joy, some silliness, and so I'm feeling really excited about that. Along with that announcement, there's not going to be a trailer for this month because I have so much to do for Fantasia Film Fest and Femme Film Fest. There's a lot of F's going on that I just don't think I have time to get a trailer up. So what I'm going to do instead is, oh my god, today is Tim Burton's birthday. Well, happy birthday, Tim. That's so crazy. And that's actually so perfect for Animated Horror Month because he's done obviously some great ones. But I will, on the YouTube community thing, I'm going to post a poll for you guys, or I'm going to post like the voting link and all that for Animated Horror Club. Animated Horror Club! Oh my god, I'm lost. But I'm going to get that up for you guys with the announcement of the first movie sometime this week/weekend, so you guys can still vote in time and get the movie in time. So I think that'll be really fun. And you guys recommended it, so I mean, yay you. Pretty much all of our horror movie clubs in the last at least 6 months to a year have all just been recommendations from you guys for themes, which is awesome, and I'm super happy about that because it's opening my eyes up to movies that I wouldn't typically always be watching. So exciting. And the biggest announcement. So, Horror Movie Club for the last year and month has been on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And here's the thing. I'm going to have to change it, I guess, to Wednesdays. I am announcing it now, and I will remind you all, don't worry. But this is because starting next week, I'm actually taking a class. I'm taking it's a whole thing. I don't know if I need to go into this whole thing right now. But I don't know if I want to go on this whole thing. I'm potentially going to go to grad school. Unclear. No promises. But they are allowing me to take a class this semester to sort of see how I like the program and all that jazz. So I'm going to be taking a class on Tuesday evenings. And so I won't be able to do Horror Movie Club that night. So instead, we're going to do it on Wednesday. Still at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and yeah, so that will start literally next week, and I will remind you guys. I hope this doesn't ruin anyone's ability to come to Horror Movie Club. I really hope that doesn't happen, but that's what's going on. Okay. I feel so bad because Tuesdays has just always been our thing. But this class was only offered on Tuesdays, and so I just wanted to go for it and take this opportunity for myself. And I love, I'm such a nerd. I love school, so I'm very excited about it. And I'll let you guys know how it's going once I start and everything. Particularly on my Patreon. Vlogs are about to come back to Patreon because I'm back in New York now, and my life is settling into a routine again. And so you guys will definitely see how that goes. But it's exciting. Okay, I think that's all the announcements. I will repeat the key parts of that at the end before I sign off. But yes, okay. So here we go. We're going to talk about Willard. Definitely, it's so funny that you mentioned that it's Tim Burton's birthday today because the opening credits of Willard, and I hope this is clear that we're talking about the 2003 Willard and not the 1971 one, but it had such a Tim Burton style and feeling to it, and the whole movie kind of, and it wasn't to the magnitude that Tim Burton goes with style, but it just felt like a little bit leaning in that direction with some of the over-the-top acting and like the gothic kind of look to some of the characters and the color palette, just certain things like that that just kind of reminded me of Tim Burton, so that's so funny. So the original Willard, as I just said, came out in 1971. This was directed by Daniel Mann and starred Bruce Davison as Willard. And it's funny, you will actually see his picture in the 2003 version as well. As I said last week, I was not able to watch the 1971 version. But there is also a sequel to that one called Ben. And there is a song, the theme song for Ben was performed by Michael Jackson, and then we also get that in this Willard remake. So, lots of stuff going on with all that. And I guess Ben is, I don't know, it's like a more of a kid. Is that what it is? If anyone's seen Ben, let me know. Is that one about a child that's into rats? I don't know. So, yeah. Yeah, Martin just said it also has a series of unfortunate events feel. Yeah, I feel that as well, for sure. Cool. Okay, so the 2003 version, it was co-written and directed by Glenn Morgan. And let me pull up his IMDb because he had definitely done some things I recognized. What was the big one? Oh, of course, he's a producer for the X-Files. And that comes up in this as well, the cat that you guys have already mourned in the chat. And that part is so upsetting. But the cat's name is Scully, which of course, X-Files. And I don't know if I ever updated you guys on my X-Files journey. I was like super obsessed, and I got through, I think, like 6 seasons or something. I got like around 6 seasons, and then I just kind of felt like I needed to take a break. It got to a point where I felt like the episodes were sort of feeling repetitive. Of course, the formula is quite repetitive, and I don't actually mind that, but I don't know. I felt like I needed a little break, and so I decided to do that, check out some other things, rewatch a couple seasons of Buffy, because Ben was watching Buffy and I got jealous and wanted to watch it too. But yeah, so Glenn Morgan was a big producer on X-Files and has produced on a lot of TV shows, including the most recent Twilight Zone, Lore, if you guys remember that podcast that was turned into a I think it was through Amazon, a TV situation, and many others. And then in terms of directing, he's only ever directed 3 things, and that is Willard. Get ready for this, people. Get ready. The 2006 Black Christmas. You guys remember that? Freaking wild, gory insanity of a movie. And then the last thing he ever directed was, there was one more thing, but I think it was TV. Oh, he directed 3 episodes of The X-Files. So how crazy is that? It's like, I just think it's so funny to never have a directing credit, sign on to Willard, and then 3 years later do that crazy Black Christmas remake, and then never direct a movie again. Like, that's just so freaking wild to me. Yeah, Trash Stash just said, X-Files is awesome for TV, but it's a series you only need to go back and watch an episode every once in a while. And that's sort of the thing with X-Files, is like, because a lot of it feels sort of repetitive, like I can understand this being, if a show, it was playing on TV weekly, feeling so invested and nostalgic, but it's like, as a binge watching show, I feel like at a certain point I was kind of like, okay, I got it. I already know what's happening. I know the formula, etc. But at some point I will go back to it, because I did really like it. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about the cast. Oh, sorry. There was also another writer as well, and that was Gilbert Ralston, who I think he just wrote the first Willard, and so I don't know if this is more like credited him for the characters, or if he actually had a hand in writing this screenplay. Oh, actually, no, it looks like he's only credited for the 1971 screenplay. Okay, so characters based on, and, oh, interesting. Did anyone know this was based on a book? Oh, it's loose. Oh, very loosely. Okay, it's very loosely based on a novel called Ratman's Notebooks by Stephen Gilbert. What is that? Okay, 1968 short novel. It features an unnamed misfit who relates better to rats than to humans. It's a book that's set as a series of journal entries. Ooh, that sounds so creepy. Where the unnamed narrator goes back and forth between his life with the rats and his work. I can imagine like reading that as like journal entries being so freaking weird. That's wild. Learn something new every day. Okay, so now let's talk about the cast. So, of course, in our leading role, we have Crispin Glover, who is a very well-established actor, has done a lot of really crazy roles, everything from Back to the Future, Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. He was on the show American Gods. Let's see. What else has he done? Trying to see if there's any big ones we would know in the horror realm. But I don't know. Has he done any other horror things? It doesn't really seem like it. Not sure. But very well established actor, very known for his unusual characters. People refer to him as a madman and a genius. He's kind of apparently very difficult to work with, but makes some very strong character choices, which I love. Okay. Oh, I'm scrolling up in the chat a little bit to make sure I'm keeping up with you guys. Oh, he was in Friday the 13th Part 4? I don't remember that. I also am not the biggest Friday the 13th person. I love the original film, and the second one, but it's not my franchise. Like, I enjoy them, but it's not something I'm obsessed with. Okay. So he's our main dude, and then we have, our main dude of Willard, and then we have Mr. Martin, who is his boss, and he's played by R. Lee Ermey? I hope I said that right. And he was actually in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake that same year, which is, you know, interesting. Busy year in horror for him. We also have, let's see, what else do we have? Hold on. Most of these actors I don't actually know that well. Henrietta, so that's Willard's mother. We're going to get to plot in a second here. But a mother that is so, it's like that sickly, angry, horrifying mother figure that we get a lot in horror movies that, like, the main character has to take care of. It's just awful. But she is played by Jackie Burroughs, and played very well. That character it sort of reminds me of Zelda and Pet Sematary a little bit, crossed with, like, have you guys read or seen Haunting of Hill House? The main character's mother in that, who dies at the beginning of the movie, that kind of relationship where it's like, you are like they're so dependent on their child. The child cannot escape and cannot get out of the situation. And it's like a very, like, weird abusive relationship. Just wild. And then we have a couple other characters. I guess the other important one is Catherine, right? So Catherine is a co-worker that has sympathy for Willard and is the one that brings him the cat. But she's played by Laura Elena Herring. And I think that's kind of like the main people to discuss. She was in Mulholland Drive. Huh, interesting. Okay. All right, so now I guess let's get a little bit into plot. So we have this character of Willard who's having a very bad time. He kind of looks rat-like, which was definitely a choice from the director and makeup artist on this. They kind of give him that very creepy middle part. They made all of his, like, angular features really stand out. They made his nose very prominent. They made him very pale, with, like, rings under his eyes. You can kind of see, like, above my head here. To kind of make him look as rat-like as possible, which I think works very well and kind of gives him that Tim Burton character kind of feel that we recognize. But he's having a bad time. So as I said, he has this relationship with his mother. He loves his mother so much. She's very sickly, and they're in a very difficult financial situation. So I think I'm going to have this right. So basically, his father owned this company that allowed them to have this big, beautiful house and some kind of great life. And then at some point, things went wrong, and the man, sorry, I just forgot his name, Mr. Martin, ended up buying the company. The father died, and so it was just the mother and Willard in this house. And basically, when Mr. Martin bought the company, the only requirement was that he had to keep Willard on as an employee forever. Or until his mother died, which is, like, kind of messed up. So Willard works at this company at some desk job. We never really know what the company does, but it doesn't matter. It's sort of this like, once again, like this, I keep saying Tim Burton, but that's the way I just keep thinking about it. Look at like an average American company where no one is really like, no one really knows what they do there. It's kind of like Chandler from Friends, where like no one knows what his job is. It's like that kind of thing. So yeah, it's like there's the part where she goes to get the Christmas decorations because the office needs like a little boost is so hilarious to me. But we're not even there yet. So so he has this horrible boss at work that treats him terribly. He's treated terribly at home. His mother like makes fun of him, and not in a jeering way, just in a really sad way. Like she's like, I shouldn't have named you Willard. I should have named you a better name. Then you would have a better life. You would have a girlfriend. She sort of mocks his I don't want to say sexuality, but like his lack of sexuality, I guess. She thinks he's basically a failure, and she also blames herself for that. And Willard is just sitting there taking all this abuse from everyone in his life. He has no one in his life that treats him well. He has no friends. And the only person that is nice to him is the woman when he shows up one day and she's sitting at his desk and basically is going to end up taking over his job. So, not good. Not good. Also, I forgot that I was drinking wine. You know what's ridiculous? I just ate dinner and I'm hungry again. Why is that? I don't know. Okay. Actually, I really wish I had seen this movie back when Lauren and I did a podcast episode about evil mothers. This would have been such a good one. Or just mothers in horror movies. This would have been a really good one to talk about. Okay. So, he meets this rat in his house. This white rat, and he names it Socrates. And they quickly form a bond and become very close. He loves this rat. The rat seems to understand him. They have this like friendship, companionship situation. And there are a bunch of other rats living in the basement as well. And while he's down there, he starts to realize that he can train them to do things. So he starts training these rats all to do these things. And all these rats actually were trained, which is interesting. I don't know how many rats were used on set. I wonder if I can find that out for you guys. But it was a lot. And they kind of all had different skills. And so they would have like a group of rats that were good at like storming from one place to another. They would have rats that were really good at nibbling on command. It's just like all this weird stuff. And it did bring me back to when we had mice in our apartment, and it was just so sad because I didn't want them to die, but I didn't want them to be here anymore. It's just so stressful. So the main rats we have are Socrates, who's of course the little white one we just discussed, and then a super huge rat named Ben. He calls him Big Ben. And I know on the IMDb trivia they talked about what kind of rat he was, because he actually is just a huge species of rat. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. Okay, it's a giant Gambian pouched rat. It's a distant relative of the Norway rat. And while these rats can be pretty docile, they can grow to lengths as much as 10 to 17 inches from head to the base of the tail, and generally weigh anywhere from 2 to over 6 pounds. For reference, Toby is 6 pounds. So if I found a rat the size of Toby, okay, to be fair, I think I have seen rats the size of Toby, but just horrifying. Oh my god, when I was in Baltimore, where my brother lives, the rats, it's basically a joke that the rats run Baltimore and then everyone else just lives there. And it's really kind of true. The rats there are just so unafraid of anything, and they're huge. And it's like a 3-ring circus at nighttime there. I swear, like the rats are just running around like they truly own the place. It is disgusting, but intriguing. While I have this up before I forget, I do want to mention that Joaquin Phoenix and Macaulay Culkin both turned down the role of Willard, and it was that I thought either of them would have been a great choice. And I'm glad of who we got, Crispin Glover. But I think both those other choices would have worked really well. I really would have liked to see Macaulay Culkin do this, but I understand. I don't know what he was doing in 2003. He must have been busy. Okay, so back to the rats. So we have, as I said, Socrates and Ben are the main ones. Ben is the giant one, and he is just so scary and mean. And Willard makes kind of a mistake right at the beginning of the training of the rats, where he tells Ben that he's basically in charge. But he's sort of supposed to be second in command to Socrates. Socrates, sleeps upstairs. He's allowed to go upstairs with Willard. But Ben is supposed to stay in the basement with the rest of the rats. And it turns out Ben doesn't like that. There's all these scenes of Ben like sneaking into Willard's room and trying to get on the bed. And it's just like, it's like gross and creepy, but also sad, because like Ben wants to be loved the way Socrates is loved, but it's also like Ben is like a dictator, a horrible nastiness. So it's just like, so conflicting. When it's animals, I just feel so much more empathy, I guess. Okay, so the first thing Willard decides to do, this ends up being sort of a revenge tale for a big chunk of the movie. The first thing Willard decides to do is get back at his boss, right? So his boss treats him terribly. He publicly humiliates him on the daily. He's always threatening to fire him and to basically... Willard's also like always late for work because his mother is very sick. And the boss just has these hilarious lines that's just like, if you loved your mother, you would be at work on time. He's like, well, she's real. I don't know. It's just the lines are so ridiculous, over the top. But I really like that about the movie, particularly with the boss's lines. The way in which he humiliates Willard are so absurd, and like you can't imagine anyone saying those things, that it's almost funny to watch. But I really like that. I really like the overacting, the crazy lines. I really like it. So the first bit of revenge is, of course, on Mr. Martin. So Willard takes all the rats to Martin's home, and he orders them to chew through the garage door, go in and chew up Martin's new Mercedes-Benz tires. And, of course, immediately... Mr. Martin comes out. He starts freaking out. The rats get into the bag, and Willard runs off sort of just in time. And so he doesn't get caught. But while they're walking, there is this very annoying Pomeranian. And I love Poms. They're so cute, but they are very yappy. And so Willard is like on a buzz right now, right? He's like on a buzz from like getting revenge for the first time in his life on someone that has wronged him, that has humiliated him. He's on this high, and he's looking at this Pomeranian. He's just like, ah! And so at some point he's like, you want to see what's in the bag? And he puts the Pomeranian in the bag with all the rats, which is truly the most horrifying thing I thought of the movie, but not yet. And I was terrified watching this, thinking something bad was going to happen to that dog. And then, of course, he opens the bag, and the Pomeranian just runs away to safety and is totally fine. But so scary. And so I guess that sort of gives us levels to the rats and how they progress throughout the movie. Like, at this point, they do not cause any physical harm to anyone. They're not interested in that, I guess. And, so the Pomeranian does get to live, which is nice. And then we never see the Pom again. But it is for that one moment. And then from there, we have Willard's mother is sort of going to be the next victim. So she overhears Willard talking to the rats, which she assumes he's like talking to her or practicing what he's going to say to her. Basically, he's saying to all the rats, I don't have enough money to feed you all. I don't have enough money to take care of you all. You're going to have to find somewhere else to live, because at first there was just a few rats and now there's a lot of rats. It seems like Ben has been taking recruits or something from other places. and it's getting pretty crowded in the basement. So the mother sort of freaks out, and she ends up falling down the stairs of the basement, and because she hears the rats down there, and I don't know, it's not really clear. I don't think they eat her, but they are like running all around her. But when she falls down, she does die. So at this point, Willard's mother is dead, who he did love, remember. And so now the only creature he has in the world is Socrates. And from his mother dying, we have a big piece of information that comes that basically no one's been paying on the house, and it's going to foreclose, and they're going to lose the house. And so Willard has nowhere to go, basically. He's going to lose his house. He's also going to lose his job. So I always keep trying to say Dr. Martin. It's just Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin is, of course, still threatening to fire him, and that does happen actually in a little bit. But his only friend in the world right now is Socrates, and it's just terrible. So then who should show up at the house but Catherine, who is, she's the one nice person to Willard. She feels bad for him, and she shows up with this cat, Scully. Guys, this scene, I almost couldn't watch it. Like, it was like too much for me. I don't know what I'm not even a cat person, but it was so upsetting. So he basically had to throws the cat in the house and is like, I'm gonna deal with this cat later because it's a bad moment. And so he throws the cat in the house, and the rats eat the cat. And there's this whole chase sequence of the cat trying to get away from all of them, but there's so many rats. And eventually eats the cat, and it's just, it is so upsetting. I wish that wasn't in the movie, but I understand why it has to be, because we have to see that the rats are getting more ferocious. They're willing to kill. They're not afraid of blood. It's just awful, guys. It really bummed me out. Okay. So, let's see, from there, he ends up taking Socrates, and I can't remember why he takes Ben. If anyone knows, let me know. He takes Socrates and Ben to work with him, and that is the day he gets there, and he realizes that he is being officially fired from his job. And he goes into Mr. Martin's office, and they're having this fight, and Willard is like begging for his job. It's so sad. It's so emotional. It's so upsetting because he really has nothing. He's like, take the house, take anything. Just give me this job, because he has nothing left in his life. It's so upsetting. And while this is going on, so he's basically stored the rats in the storeroom. And a coworker goes in there, as I said earlier, to get some Christmas decorations to lighten the mood, I guess, and make people a little less sad, which I don't know if that would have worked. But she goes in there and she sees Socrates. So, of course, she starts screaming. She freaks out. And then Mr. Martin comes in, and this scene I couldn't take either. Oh my God, it was awful. He kills Socrates. And it is like filmed in this way that is like quite brutal. You even see, like, they kind of like take the little mouse and like cover him in fake blood, and you even see him like a little bloody, and it's just like, and of course, because my dog is all white, I'm just looking at Socrates like, no, so upsetting. I don't know, did anyone feel that way? Oh, that's right, Martin, he takes Ben because apparently Socrates says it's okay. I do remember that, that's right. Oh God, just awful. Okay, so after that happens, then Willard, that's his last friend. So he's really, and when he goes in there and he sees, of course, we have all these shots that happens over and over and over again of something bad happening, Willard looking somewhere and just seeing Ben just staring at him, being like, Like, that is like a shot that comes up over and over and over again. And something else, and this will come up in a minute, but after Mr. Martin kills Socrates, he looks at Willard, and he basically says, like, you wimp, like, you're scared of a little blood or something. And it's just, like, very mocking, as always. Ugh, awful. And so at this point, Willard is like, he's about off his rocker at this point. And so he basically turns to Ben, and they're going to get all the rats to avenge Socrates. And they are going to come back to work all together and attack Mr. Martin. And so they do. They swarm Mr. Martin. They kill him. They basically eat him, mostly, I guess, or whatever they can. And then, of course, Willard says back at Mr. Martin the same words that he said to him, which is, "What's the matter, tiger? Scared of a little blood?" And it's this crazy thing, because though Willard is becoming the villain of the movie, you still feel bad for him, because he's had a pretty bad life. So at this point, Willard is grateful to Ben the rat for helping him do this. But there's always like a lot of suspicion around Ben. As I said, he's always there at convenient times. He always seems like a little evil, a little scary, and things like that. And so Willard decides to just like kind of, I guess, cut his losses. Is that how I'll say it? And he's gonna like kill all the rats. So this is kind of a quick decision for him, but he decides to poison all the rats in the basement, and we see him down there scooping up rat corpses, putting them in a fire. It kind of seems like he got them all, but of course he did not. And Ben, who lives, of course, turns the remaining rats against Willard, and they are gonna try to get him. Okay, and so at one point, Catherine comes to the house to sort of take Willard out to eat. It says here it's a date, but it seems more like a friendship situation to me in the movie. And he does get her out of the house once he realizes something bad is about to happen, but he gets trapped in there. And so basically, also these cops are there basically trying to arrest Willard because they found the corpse of the corpse of Mr. Martin. And they suspect it was him, and so they're coming to get him, but they see all these rats inside the house, and they don't want to go in there. They're terrified, which I can understand. And so, let's see. Okay, and so from there, I just want to make sure I say this part right. Yeah, so Willard and Ben have this kind of big fight. And Willard basically says, which I think we understand the whole time, that he only loved Socrates. He hated Ben the whole time. And Willard ends up basically... and at one point we think Ben has won. Ben, like, kind of attacks his face. Willard falls off this high thing. We kind of think maybe Willard has died and Ben has won. And then, of course, we have Willard coming back at the end and stabbing Ben to death with something, I don't know what, and all this kind of like shadowy through the window situation, which I think is very fun, very gothic looking. And then Ben basically escapes, but he is, of course, placed into a mental institution, which I think, kind of makes sense given how they found him. And he is sitting in there, and who should appear at the end of the movie but this little white rat into his cell. Looks a lot like Socrates. Of course it is not. And Willard decides that this is the reborn, Socrates, and that they're going to come back for revenge again. They're going to start plotting and planning. He says, it's not over yet. Our time is going to come. He says we just have to be here and stay quiet. Quiet as a mouse. Da-dun-sh. And that is how that freaking movie ends. With him in a mental institution, with Ben and Socrates both dead, with Mr. Martin dead, with the mother dead. Just freaking crazy. Just freaking crazy. And ultimately, I loved this movie because I love the style of it. I love the acting. All the style choices I just think are so much fun. But it definitely was the most stressful for me because I kept being so scared of bad things happening to animals. So I think, I don't know. I don't know if I'd call it, I don't know if it's my favorite or not. Before we go into our favorites of the month, I do want to know from you guys, maybe what your favorite sequence was, your favorite part of the movie. It can be your favorite death. Anything like that is fine. For me, I think my favorite scenes are kind of when Willard sort of first starts training the rats and they are running. He has them, he's sort of conducting them like back and forth in the basement, and he sort of like has power for the first time in his life. And all those moments for him like that, I just like, it's very exciting. Like I really liked those parts. And for favorite death, I don't really know if I have one. I mean, I mostly felt bad about the mom's death, I guess. So, I don't know. I guess Mr. Martin's death was okay. I don't know. I guess I mostly like the conducting of the rats. But let me know in the chat what your favorite scene is. And then we need to talk about, I guess, our favorite of the month. So, what else did we watch? We watched Arachnophobia. That was the first one. Then we watched Cujo, Anaconda, and Willard. I think the best, they're all so different. Because they're all like very different movies. Actually, this might have been one of the months where I was not bored by a single one of the movies. Not that I'm ever like super bored by any of them, but like I felt like all of these were solid watches for sure. I think Cujo is probably the most like well-made movie, if that makes sense. I think Willard was the one I was most into, like style-wise, like I said. Like I really just liked the style and the direction of it. I thought Arachnophobia was just super fun. Anaconda was like okay. I really liked the villain in Anaconda, but I felt like a lot of the acting was like kind of like subpar. So I don't know. And the snake just wasn't my favorite animal to kill, like killer animal. It just wasn't my favorite killer animal. So I guess that. Ooh, actually, I feel like a better way to say this, not even just which movie was your fave, but which killer animal was your fave. So was it the spiders? Was it Cujo? Was it the anaconda? Or was it all the rats? Which was your favorite killer animal? So if I'm thinking like that, I think I'm going to say the rats. I'm pretty sure. Because the rats, like, there's so many of them kind of like the spiders, but they sort of have more personality to them. And it's not like a big monster. Like Cujo ends up being like kind of a big dog monster. And then of course Anaconda is a giant snake monster. I feel like it was the rats for me. Favorite killer animal of the month. The rats. Okay, so let me know in the chat what your favorites was while I just reiterate some of the... Oh, you guys are coming in now. I was the delay, but you're here now. Let's see. Low carb monster, hey, says Cujo. Ollie says Cujo. Larry says rats. Nice. Batman also says rats. Very nice, very nice. Mark says Cujo. Trash Dash says Big Ben. Martin says the flaming anaconda. That's true. There was the flaming anaconda. That was pretty cool. Yeah. You guys can keep saying your faves in the chat. I am just going to reiterate some of the announcements that I said at the beginning of the stream. So the first one is Femme Film Fest, which I'm organizing, is happening this Friday. There are ticket links in my description of this live stream. The ticket is good for 48 hours, so you can watch it anytime on Friday night through, Saturday or whatever. That's the first announcement. The second one is that next month is going to be animated spooky movies. Is going to be our theme. It's going to be lighthearted and fun. There's not going to be a trailer for that, but there will be a voting poll that's going to go up on my YouTube community thing, and I'll also share it on Twitter just so you guys make sure, and on my email list, just so make sure everyone still gets it and you vote. So that's going to be good. And then my last one is that starting next week, Horror Movie Club from now on, or at least through the end of the year, is going to be on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. instead of Tuesday. So that is a change. That is a strong change. So try not to forget. I'm going to put reminders as much as I can, anywhere I can. But it's no longer going to be on Tuesday. Tell your friends. It's going to be on Wednesday. But it's going to be super fun, as always. So the animated films, so basically I'm going to, on my community page that I post, you should still get a notification or see it on your YouTube algorithm. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but whenever I post on there, you guys do see it, so I have faith you'll see it. I will post the first movie of the month, which I haven't chosen yet, and the voting. So that'll all be there. And yeah, I think it should all work out the same as always. I hope. Maybe I'll even post it a little earlier. What's today? It's Tuesday. I'll post it in the next couple days. Cool. Okay. So it's 8:54. I do have a Patreon movie night tonight. I think we're going to be watching Jawbreaker, which is freaking exciting because it's a movie I've never seen and everyone says it's very my aesthetic, so I cannot wait. So I have to go do that. But thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for another great month of Horror Movie Club. Killer Animals was a really good theme, so thank you. And actually, technically, we actually have our next 2 months already planned. We have animated horror / spooky movies, and then October is going to be Hammer films. So we actually have the next 2 months already planned. So that's gonna be great. Can't wait. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you being here as always and supporting and watching the movies and hanging out with me. That's all. Very, very grateful for you guys. It's awesome. But I'll talk to you soon and have a nice scream. Bye-bye.